And the session facilitator will be Dr. Vineet Dubey. Sir, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Vishnu. So, good evening to all. So now we have almost reached the fag end of the seminar, and this session is one of the interesting session, aquatic ecology. As uh, accept on aquatic ecology is very limited. The reason so basically we are part of terrestrial ecosystem. We are interacting, and we are what is happening with the terrestrial system. So we appreciate and we understand much better than the aquatic system. So that is a limitation. But we have around five researchers here, so they are coming up, some finding research. So I hope enjoy and we can increase our understanding about the aquatic system. So with this words, we have here. Here. So I invite Dr. Nehru to conduct this.
Thank you, sir. Well, as mentioned, every system has its own challenges and limitations, and aquatic systems is nothing less than more exciting systems. And as such, unlike terrestrial systems, there are very unique challenges. And we have a very topics covered in session. There are 6 presentations and of varying subject areas within the aquatic ecology. So, without much comments, I like to start the session, and I call upon the first speaker of the session, Srabani Bose. She will be giving a talk on understanding the nutrient dynamics across the recently established Dugong Conservation Reserve in Tamil Nadu.
Srabni is working with the Campa Dugong project. She has done her post-graduation in wildlife biology and biodiversity conservation from North Odisha University. She has recently joined PhD and aspired to work in seagrass and coastal habitats. Over to Srabni.
Thank you, Dr. Dubey, for introducing me. So, today I'm here to share a small portion of our studies that focuses on seagrasses.
And this study is in nature. And with that in mind, I recommend nutrition of seagrass across the recently established Dugong Conservation Reserve in Tamil Nadu. So, what is seagrass? Seagrasses are marine plant plants which and is a major coastal habitat. It is distributed 45,000 square kilometers globally with a record of 75 species. It has a multitude of ecosystem services from habitat for marine fauna uh, to fishing grounds from helping in climate change to coastal protection and improving water quality, sequestration of carbon dioxide, uh, and many more. So this is how seagrass meadows look at water. So coming to this study, what we have my objective is to understand the relationship between seagrass characteristics, life and addressing three research portions. First one is to know how sediment nutrient is corresponding to the sediment texture. The second one, I will be looking into how seagrass shoot density and seagrass cover respond to sediment nutrient texture. The third one, how does each seagrass species so with so many why I chose segment nutrient segment texture. So it's a very basic thing that sequence segment in this world without a so what you direct effect on the CIC plus ecosystem that is on light penetration, sediment of sediment and sediment porosity. So if the water is too much turbid or the sedimentation is too much high, the light penetration meters. Similarly, it goes for the setting of sediments in you. Collectively, it affects the photosynthesis and absorption of nutrients from water. And one of the important aspects is porosity. So each sediment type has a different pore space. Suppose a
or creates too much of force, the nutrient limitation might happen. And for sediment nutrient, so the sediment nutrient levels have a great impact on survival of the sea grasses, and the nutrient composition affects the sea grass composition study area. My study area is Dugong Conservation Reserve. So, as you know, this is the first kind of uh, reserve for dugong in India. In 2019, WI proposed for Tamil Nadu state government and the parkway should be declared as conservation reserve. And after like 2 years, 2022, it the
declared as Dugong Conservation Reserve by Tamil Nadu state. The area is nearly 448 square kilometer. Starts from Alayam with a coast. Uh, Methodology. So we have made 10 sunset and with a detailed orange line and each particular we show and each transit kilometer each transit 10 uh, and each transit 20 kilometers about number of sampling sites so down to gas sampling to assess the seed covered top-down method was used. Later, the sediment is for nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, organic laboratory using the poly- so finally the result. So we got 8 species of sea grasses involved this year. So these are grasses and shows the highest shoot density in the area. The sediment profile. The more dominated process. So first, we are going to look how sediment and nutrient is so process from of negative interaction with all the nutrients as well as seaweed has a positive smelling. So I to this forces and is relatively associated with the other nutrients, while finer sand has a strong correlation with sodium. A second research was to see how to maintain the response to nutrient and texture. So using uh, I phosphorus to be significantly reduced and made complicated uh, to secret shoe cases. Other variables so significant is cover nitrogen and potassium were only correlated to science and correlating the cover. In the last, research is to see the respond to the this is a see the molecular overlays of the plate and molecular correlation with cell, but this is a pairwise correlation, but this doesn't have most recent also that thermonuclear cellular science has been over these species preserve process and 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 it's high nutrient level. So what we had is so we see the cellular being dominated segment four is dominated. So with coverage shoe density is a bit contrasting results that is a window to look into above ground and below ground dynamics. And uh, data and are quite similar. So with that, I conclude that variables are important and there are many underlying variables that we need to and even if implementation changes. So with that, it is the very basic like study. We're looking for more variable correction. So let's see. There might along me. Send the level college for service support if you have a friend.
Before calling the next speaker, I would like to suggest that you remain closer to the mic so that you are audible to everybody. I also like to stick to the time. Now I call upon Rashmi Khattar. She will be presenting a talk on spatial ability of zebras associated microbenthos in Gulf of Kutch.
Prachi is a postgraduate in zoology with specialization in oceanography and fisheries from Mumbai University. She has worked with various research institutes and environmental consultation before joining WI. Over to Prachi.
Good evening, everyone. For special diversity of associated microbenthos of Kutch Gujarat. Gulf of Kutch Gujarat is the first marine national park which was established in India in 1980. The Gulf of Kutch Marine National Park and Sanctuary comprises of area about 270 kilometers square. and it encompasses of various marine and coastal habitats such as the mangroves, mudflats, ecosystems, as well as the rocky shores and the poultry. Among all this marine ecosystem, the seagrass ecosystem is very steady, and this is the first attempt to study the baseline information about what is all happening to the seagrass meadows. So, as you know, that seagrass meadows harvest many fishes. It acts as a nursery ground for fishes also. It harvests many foraging grounds for the megabiological and ecosystems. So the bioassemblage of the organisms living in the sequence beds will help us understand any threats are being faced by coming to the benthic fauna. The benthic fauna are classified according to the substratum, their size, and according to their feeding patterns. So according to the substratum, they are classified in the organisms inside. On the according to the size, they are classified as low micro and according to the feeding patterns, they are classified as deposit feeders and between the 0.5 millimeter and 1 millimeter size prices of macrobenthos. I am looking for the this in macrobenthic informal invertebrates. This is and so, next size class is from 0.1 millimeter to 0.5 millimeter. This includes zooplanktons and nematodes. The last group encompasses of the size class which is 1 millimeter. This is phytoplankton. So in the biodiversity that is in the oxygenating the soil for farming activities. Helping the nutrient recycling, they act as a food resources for nutrition bioindicators. So, like, act as a bioindicators. And to study the authentic pattern between the vegetative and vegetative areas across the country. So, as I mentioned, word benthos comes from a Latin word which means that we are and the decomposer at tropic level. They benthic tendency implies that the seagrass ecosystem is in healthy condition. So for my current study, I chose 4 foraging grounds. All the 4 foraging grounds are mangrove in which the coral fringing and shelter areas the seagrass. So I undertook I first study site this is Champi, and Champi. So the study was undertaken from December 2022 till April 2022. And it was majorly all 3 sites chose 3 dominant species of seagrasses. One is Halophila ovalis, one is Halophila peccari, another is Halophila minor. So for my methodology, I undertook Nagisa protocol, which is a Japanese protocol, which is being standardized for the intertidal macrobenthic collection studies. So I put 3 columns in the seagrass present, and those 3 columns were put in the areas. So 50 by 50 columns was put in the seagrass vegetative areas and high, low, and mid areas to check the seagrass count. 20 by 20 columns was put to check the seagrass sugar density, and the side 25 centimeters square column was put to check the vegetative density. So the sediments were collected from the field, they were sealed, and then later on preserved in 0.5% formalin and sealed with Rosenthal. I sorted them in the group level and then identified in the lower taxonomy level. Coming to the result part. So I came across 95 species of informal groups and 95 species and 13 informal groups, among which Dextrofort showed the highest species. I can put in 5 species of Dextrofort, 5 species of fiber, 1 species of chitin, and 11 species of amphipore, 3 species of isophore. Adaptation and mechanisms are the orders of crustaceans being under investigation. I found 1 species of hermit crabs, target species, 3 prawns, and one Arabian crab and one Amazon species. So I also wanted to know how the sea ash density actually influences the macronutrient density. I found a negative correlation between the sea ash density and macronutrient density that might be because the season samples were taken when the sea ash emergence period was set. So the sampling was done in the December season where the sea ash just emerges in the Gujarat. And other party factors such as the texture and the particle sediments inside each of the lattice filter to check this hypothesis. The informal macronutrient density across the earth showed that the vegetative areas had a higher macronutrient density rather than the unvegetative areas. Abundance, in case of abundance, the ladder diagram shows the highest genetic density. And for the richness, the RAM Crucial Logist test is showed that the similar percentage pattern for the richness was present, and the Margaret showed that higher species number was shown by the for the composition, the mollusk showed the highest diversity among all the types. So in Chang Island, gasopode island, followed by the polychaete. In Chutnapet, the gasopode showed the highest composition and followed by the vipers. In Norvo Island, the gasopode and antipode formed the major groups, and in Nether Island, the gasopode, antipode, and vipers showed the higher composition. Similarly, I wanted to know if there is any species in this pattern between vegetarian. So in case of the Chushnapir and Chang Island, we couldn't find any differential pattern between the serious areas and unvegetated areas. As you can see, first in the vegetated areas, in case of weather and Noru, they show a distinct semblance pattern between the serious vegetated areas and the unvegetated areas. Under my study, I found around species of macronutrient among which 105 were gastropods, 65 were vipers, 1 11 amphipoid species, gaxopods, 2 prawns were mentioned. Arabian crab and 1 black was found. The species showed a negative correlation between the macronutrient, but the macronutrient density was higher in vegetative areas rather than the unvegetated areas, but was across all food types. In the future, when we conducting more studies to check how the seals actually influence the density in Marine National Park. It also provides a priority for grass meadow conservation. This will explore the implication of conserving such pests in case of where the human dominated area actually affecting the sea grass meadows. I would like to following people.
Thank you, Prachi, for sticking to the time. Now I call upon Sunita Suresh. She will be talking about preliminary study on distribution pattern of endangered Arabian sea humpback based on fishery books.
Rekha Given Masters in Ecology and Environment section from Pondicherry University. She is currently working as a project associate in IBWL Arabian Sea Humpback Whale Project. Over to say Rekha.
Thank you for the introduction. Hello everyone, myself is Suresh. Here I am going to present the preliminary on distribution endangered Arabian Sea humpback. We all know humpback whales. We don't know what is the difference between humpback whales and Arabian Sea humpback whales. So as you can see, Arabian Sea humpback whales isolated 70,000 years ago. Based on researches and studies, it's showing that this species is genetically and geographically isolated, and compared to humpback whales, this species doesn't migrate. That means humpback whale considers temperate as a breeding ground and tropic as a breeding ground. But this species dwelling along the coast of Arabian Sea year round, that it is mainly due to the aquatic activity in the Arabian Sea, which goes the how and bridge sorry, nutrient-rich water along the coast. We are going to the distribution pattern around the Arabian Sea coast. You can see from Oman to Pakistan to India. We have a lot of sightings and recordings and reported. In this slide, you can see this is Luban, the tag female whale from Oman. In 2019, from Nechani Island, Karnataka, the fisherman, the divers so exciting sighting, which is Luban. She spotted this Nechani Island. Later, the Kerala also exported. How these things are relevant for us? Because as we know, we have a lot of sighting, we have a lot of standing details, but till now we don't have any proper idea how this distribution pattern, how the status of species around our coast. So our study or our project is mainly concerned about this thing to know from Gujarat to Kerala, including Lakshadweep, and we are living Tamil Nadu as well. So to know the status of this species. And here we are doing the preliminary survey, that means fishery port survey. So according to that, the objectives are to understand the status for Arabian Sea humpback whale based on the fishery port survey, and to know the fishery information or sampling site are influencing sighting or not, and to understand threats along the coast of Arabian Sea. And that's all include first part, study area. As you can see, here I mentioned some pictures of Arabian Sea in some places. Those are the previous sighting and standings. According to that and EMBADA and CMFRA details, we narrowed down 35 major harbors along Gujarat till Tamil Nadu, including Lakshadweep. The second is a semi-structured questionnaire survey, which has 3 parts: general data, which include age, like what is the education of fishermen and all. Second is a fishery survey, which means what type of boat they are using, what type of gear they are using, what are their major capture, what is the major season, how long they do fishing and all. There is a major data which include marine mammal data, that means what species they spotted, what year, which season it was, is there any associated species nearby, and do they ever face the entanglement in the fishing gear, and what is their perception towards the species, do they aware of the conservation status of the species or not. And this is an ID postcard we used, which includes 17 species of dolphin, 7 species of humpback whales, and here we include the whale behaviors, which include foraging, breaching. So we asked them, did they observe any of these things? And the next one is a distribution map we made for each state. It's a grid map of 20 to 20 kilometer, and we asked fishermen whether they saw approximately from what distance they saw, or majority, like mainly all fishermen have GPS with them, so they can approximately tell what grid number it is. Then we mark that grid number. And the last one is a generalized logistic model. We run total 12 model. The global model, which have a low AIC value, considered for as a best fit model. Here you can see this is to understand the probability of fisherman's response regarding humpback whale is changing depending on these factors, which will include stage, boat type, type of gear, fishing effort, experience, number of crew, or are they aware of the species and conservation status or not. And this is a video we got from Fishers of Verada. Here you can see two images of Arabian Sea humpback whale is breaching and reading something. So major concern we got from many people, they used to ask us, where how do you confirm fisherman has a connection or they are aware of the species or not. As per our experience, fisherman has a very holistic connection towards the species. They are considering it as a god. They are calling it Machmada, Machraja. So we confirm that they have a, many people are aware of this species. And in result, checking the respondent, which is highest in the state of Karnataka, followed by Gujarat, Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. Till we did only 2 locations, so it is currently leads. Going to the first observation, objective result, the distribution pattern. Here we grid map divided into season wise, and you can see here monsoon the highest is in Kerala. This is due to the fishing activities are highest in the Kerala during monsoon season as well. And post monsoon, some locations are showing, and some are Karnataka showing, winter Gujarat, Maharashtra, Karnataka, and eastern part of Kerala. And since the monsoon and post-monsoon season fishing is different in each state, we consider summer and winter for just to understand how it is distributed. So here you can see the green numbers are both season and green is only one season. And to understand both, 4 seasons, that means all the season, which part having highest recording or sighting, we took a potential spatial distribution hotspot. Here you can see the dark blue grid means which have been recording 4 seasons. So this is our aim. We took these locations to find, to deploy the next step of the survey, that means deployment of hydrophone radar. So these locations from Porbandar, Harnai, Tenginapudi, Bepur, and Chinnamutam. These are the locations. And as I mentioned, methodology, GLM, general logistics model used. Based on that, the probability of fisherman's response regarding Arabian Sea humpback whale is highest in the state of Tamil Nadu, and which is highest when they use country fishing boat and with gillnet, where they use fishing effort with experience, number of crew, and when they have more awareness. As we know, Arabian Sea is rich in diversity, but this is leading to the extreme route and exploitation of the resources. As you can see here, these are bycatches, juvenile catches, and many times fisherman is not aware about the sustainable fisheries. And many times you may think it's just a fish, but it matters. These are small fishes. When you move to large small branch, you can see there are critically endangered species, there are endangered species. And when you go to mammals, here you can see these are long-beak common dolphin from the coast of Gujarat. This we got from fishers of Porbandar. So as you can see here, our marine environment is under threat, and as per our survey, you can see the dolphin entanglement is highest in all mammals. And as per fishery folk survey, we got around 35 entanglement details of Arabian Sea humpback whale, of which more than 50% is from Kerala, around 22 cases. It is based on fisherman survey only. And next, we are trying to focus on now currently we find out the potential spot. So we are planning for deployment of hydrophone, and host for this survey. So in conclusion, we can see around 72% sighting proportion we got, and the potential hotspot for the deployment of hydrophone is Porbandar, Harnai, Tenginapudi, Bepur, and Chinnamutam. And as we know, fisherman is basic for any conservation along the marine ecosystem. We have to start from them. So in order to protect, I think this starting lead will help us to move forward. Thank you. I would like to thank all the speakers.
Thank you, Sri Lekha, for the wonderful presentation. Now I call upon Sagar Sarad Chavan. He will be giving a talk on ecotoxicological status of select Indian rivers.
Sagar is postgraduate in biochemistry from University of Mumbai. His specialization is analytical biochemistry. Before joining to WI, he worked in various organizations as a researcher. He is currently working in NRCD project as a project associate in ecotoxicology component.
Thank you for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sabit Sama, and today I am here presenting ecotoxicological assessment of the select Indian rivers under NRC report. Let me quickly go to the introduction part. Today, all of you who are present in this auditorium need to accept two facts. First fact, that river, the lifeline for our day-to-day life, it have a importance in our day-to-day life and for the aquatic animal also. And second, the darkest truth of this fact is like we are only responsible to contaminate these rivers and threatening the post to the aquatic animals. So the organic pollutants, inorganic pollutants, and other contamination enter into the water bodies through the water bodies, and they are reaching to the food chain system of these aquatic animals and posing threat to them. To owing this anthropogenic stressor, the meeting was held in NRCD in Ministry of Jal Shakti on December 2019 to prioritize the conservation plan for the six selected Indian rivers. Out of the 6 rivers, 5 are peninsular rivers, which includes the Mahanadi, Narmada, Godavari, Kaveri, and Periyar, and one northeastern river, which is Barak. This project, titled under Assessment of Ecological Status of Select Indian Rivers for Conservation Planning. In the first phase of this project, we aim to include the intensive ecological and ecotoxicological assessment and detection of the current pollution status of these 6 rivers. The need for is, if you go to the research data for these rivers, and if you see this graph plotted here, you can see the very less number of ecotoxicological studies have been carried out for these rivers so far, and the pollutions which is entering into the water system, they are posing a chronic effect and actual threat to water bodies. Next, if I come to the objective part of the 7 objective of the NRC project, the third most important objective for this project is assessment of concentration of key pollutants such as micro and microplastic, pesticide, heavy metals, and other endocrine disrupting compounds in identified rivers and bioaccumulation in species of conservation concern. So here we are dividing this contaminations of concern into 2 parts: in organic pollutants and inorganic pollutants. Organic pollutants includes pesticides, PCBs, pharmaceutical compounds, EDC, that is endocrine disrupting compounds, and inorganic pollutants such as heavy metals, metalloids, and inorganic nutrients. The source of these pollutants are divided into 2 parts. That is a point source, which is easily can identify that industrial zone, sewage discharge of the city, and water sewage treatment plant. And inorganic, so that is non-point source are that is you can't easily identify them. It can be anything and anywhere. That if you are walking toward the road, you are dumping some garbage, is also a non-point source for the non-point source for the pollution. That the wet dumping, agriculture runoff due to floods, idle inversion is one of the serious non-point source for the pollution. Next, the study. Yeah. So out of 6, we have now done with the 5 rivers assessment for the ecotoxicological sampling. The Narmada, which is flowing through the Gujarat and Madhya Pradesh, Mahanadi from Chhattisgarh and Odisha, Godavari, which is one of the largest rivers known as the Dakshin Ganga, which is flow from the west side of the country to the Arabia, to the Bay of Bengal of the east. Periyar, which is the one of the most important river in the southern states, and Barak, which is one of the second largest transponder rivers, which is flowing through the Assam and Manipur and some of the part of Mizoram. Methodology and sample selection. So sample selections are based on the objectives of the studies and norms, site-specific conditions. The primary Reiki team was approached to the river sites, and they finalized the sampling site on the basis of presence and absence of agricultural belt, non-agricultural belt, industrial zone, city, upstream of the city, downstream of the city, and also existing monitoring station based on the CPCB, that is the Central Pollution Control Board. The sampling for this study has been done on a post-monsoon season. This was the first sampling has been done for the NRC. These are the sampling sites from the different areas. If you can see, the number of the sampling sites are included. If you see the gaps between two sampling sites, it shows there are some the gap is because of the accessibility also, and based on the study sites also. So this is this sampling site for the Barak, Godavari, Mahanadi, and for Narmada as well. The methodology and sample collection, till now we have today I'm presenting the results for the water quality and heavy metals. So for the water quality, we use YSI multi-probe parameter for the on-field sample, on-field data collection. So which help us to detect the pH, temperature, conductivity, dissolved oxygen, turbidity, and all physicochemical needed parameters. Also, we collected the heavy metal water samples, and we stored we preserved with the concentrated nitric acid and stored into ice box to maintain the 4 degrees Celsius temperature. Later, we transferred this sample to our ecotoxicological lab, where it is processed for the further detection of heavy metals. Under ICP-MS, all the heavy metal detection has been done in Ganga Aquatic Monitoring Lab. The result for the water quality. So, among the all water quality parameters which we have taken, we found the all the parameters are under permissible limit except the DO. Some part of the river in like Periyar, Mahanadi, and Godavari, we found the DO is going the minimum DO permissible limit. So these are the results for the physical parameters. If even the salinity and conductivity is fluctuating in a higher side near the issue line areas. Results for the heavy metal loads. So when we go through this analysis process, we are shocked to see the heavy metal loads and significant levels which we have detected in heavy metal studies. So carcinogenic metals such as chromium, cadmium, arsenic, and mercury are exceeding the safe limit in this study, that they are going above the permissible limit as per the UN EPA. Among the 5 rivers, we concluded that Periyar and Godavari are the most polluted river. The probable source for the Godavari is the industrial zone in Maharashtra region, low water flow due to barrages, and tidal immersion is one of the factors for that. In Periyar, the lower zone of the Periyar is highly polluted due to industrial zone available near the Alua and Ernakulam district. This red line shows the permissible limit as per the UN EPA. So if you see this, these all are carcinogenic heavy metals are exceeding this permissible limit. Also, the mercury poses the higher risk in the Periyar and Godavari. Mercury is one of the fungicides, also kind of fungicide used in agricultural product also, and the rest are nickel, copper, zinc are under the permissible limit as per our study. So this is the partial distribution map we have plotted till now. On the basis of result we got, we correlated this data with our sites. So we plotted the industrial distribution maps on the throughout the Godavari stretch, where we found the heavy metal loads. In the Periyar, we found the heavy metal loads in lower zone of the Periyar. This picture is going to show how this heavy metals and the contaminations are fed to biodiversity. This shows the clear bioaccumulations of the heavy metals, and somewhere it is reaching to their food chain, and ultimately this going to reach to our tables also. Outcome of this study, the effect of chemical stress on river ecosystem, including the acute and the chronic exposure. So we can determine ecological and caustic compounds and aquatic organisms that affect the food chain, bioaccumulation and biomagnification of the toxic levels, and also we can identify the risk zone from uh, the conclusion and way forward. The contamination, what we detect till now, it is enough to pose a threat to the organisms, aquatic organism. The further comprehensive studies are going on. We are working on pesticides, heavy metal, microplastics, for sediment and biota sample as well. And I would like to thank to the and acknowledge to them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sagar. Now I call upon Ms. Chinnaya Ganekar. She will be presenting a talk on unveiling the importance of seacraft meadows as fish nurseries in Gulf of Mannar, Tamil Nadu.
Chinmaya has done masters in biodiversity and ventured into marine ecology with her PhD in WI. She is currently working for a PhD on seagrass and their associated fisheries in Campa Dugong Recovery Program. Over to Chinmaya.
Thank you, Vineet sir, for the introduction. Good evening, all. I'll be talking about another aspect of seagrasses from the Gulf of Mannar Marine National Park in Tamil Nadu. I don't think seagrasses need any more introduction after Prachi's and Shamni's talk. So we'll directly talk about the nursery role of seagrasses. I hope everybody remembers how it feels in nursery. You are happy, you are protected, you are learning many things. So nursery hypothesis about seagrasses suggests the same. Coral reef fishes, which are very famous famous as food, even mangrove fishery is pretty famous. In that, they are connected with seagrasses as nursery habitats. So nurseries are where the fishes, juvenile fishes, get protection, they get food, they survive in better conditions in seagrass meadows. This is what the nursery hypothesis suggests. There are lot many studies across the world which try to prove this hypothesis in order to underline importance of importance of seagrass habitat. So we are trying to do the same for Gulf of Mannar Marine National Park and underlining the conservation importance of the seagrasses in this area. As Shruti mentioned, there are a lot of ecosystem services provided by seagrasses, and they also hold iconic species like dugongs and sea turtles. But in fisheries, they are known to have a lot of ecosystem services also, which is very important because a lot of us eat fish, and I hope marine fish are something you would like to savor upon. So it is also important to us. There are known dependency on seagrasses in other parts of the country, other parts of the world as well. So we are trying to see how our fishermen will be also depending on seagrasses and are now depending on seagrasses. In India, there are 15 seagrass species, and we know that till now 315 species are found in seagrasses. And the fishermen communities from subsistence, that is small scale fishery, to the commercial trawler fishery, everybody depends on seagrasses in various parts of the country. So to understand this diversity of seagrass associated fish, their size distribution because of the nursery hypothesis, and how these fish use seagrass meadows, we are looking into Gulf of Mannar seagrass meadows. Introducing you to the Gulf of Mannar in Tamil Nadu. It's a marine national park. It has 21 islands, 2 of which are submerged right now. All these 21 islands are rich with different habitats like coral reefs, algal beds, seagrass meadows, rocky patches, and it's a mosaic. Our study is basically right now focused on 7 islands of the Mandapam group of Gulf of Mannar. And these islands, as you can see in the photo, and I would like you to remember this photo for some time, at least till the presentation ends. It's an open sea because there is no land on the other side except for the smaller islands. There is mixed habitat, and you can actually see the 3 types of habitats clearly in here. sandy patches, seagrasses, and a huge coral. So it is the type of mosaic we expect to see in Gulf of Mannar and in most of the study area. So in the methodology, we did manual point counts by diving and snorkeling for 10 minutes. You can see we have taken the habitat characteristics. Also, a reference table is put here to understand the size class of the fishes. Coming to the results, we have seen a lot of families, around 90 families in seagrass meadows, out of which these three families, Leognatheridae, Apogonidae, and Pemperidae, are shoal-forming fishes. They live in groups, so their densities are obviously higher than other fishes we found. But not only that, the other important fish species, Siganidae, Geridae, Lutjanidae, and Mulidae, which are very common in Tamil Nadu fish markets, they are savored upon, and they are also exported to different parts of the country for the consumption. So their densities were also very important in the to be found in seagrass meadows. But we were very curious, as nursery hypothesis suggests there is connectivity between mangroves and reef fishes. So we tried to see in all the found, like observed individuals, which individuals were found most in the seagrass meadows. So there are a lot of literature available where the habitat association is described, and there are a lot of fish, specifically commercial fish, are described as coral associated or algae associated fish. So these fish, we found most number of fishes which are to be reef associated in seagrass meadows. The densities, though, they were not very different from each other from in seagrass habitats as well as non-seagrass habitats. But according to the nursery hypothesis, we observed that most number of fishes we observed in the point counts were from small size class, which is less than 5 centimeters. And most of these fishes, which I mentioned before, they grow up to 15-20 centimeters. So the smaller size class can be classified as juveniles. And we found most number of fishes in seagrass meadows to be juveniles. The interesting part was the densities of these fishes in seagrass meadows and non-seagrass areas were vastly different. And if you can remember the photo, even the habitat being so mosaic, seagrass meadows showed higher density of juveniles rather than in any other habitat. For your reference, this is a video from seagrass meadows on how fish use seagrass meadows in Gulf of Mannar. This is a mixed shoal of rabbit fishes, Siganidae, Mulidae, goat fishes. So we also tried to find what is the proportion of different size class of the families we found in Gulf of Mannar. So these two, Chitonidae and Pomacentridae, are ornamental fishes whose most number of individuals we found were smaller size, which are juveniles. So they are the seagrasses also be highlighted as important habitats for ornamental fishes. And these two families, Monodactylidae and Siganidae, which are very famous for consumption, their most number of individuals were juvenile found in seagrass fishes. So we now can safely say that for at least these families, seagrasses are important nursery grounds in Gulf of Mannar. We also saw a similar trend as we saw in total number of individuals. We found most number of fishes in juvenile category to be known as reef associated. So the nursery hypothesis, which suggests that adult fish come to the seagrasses, lay eggs, and the juveniles grow in seagrasses, is mostly true for Gulf of Mannar now. The proportion of reef fishes is highest, followed by the generalist species, which are everywhere, like they are not very specific to any habitat. We also saw the fish activity in the different point counts we did. And we saw most of the fishes feeding in the seagrass meadows, which highlight the importance of seagrass meadows as feeding grounds for these fishes. We also saw what is the layer of seagrass or the layer of canopy they are using. And we found that most proportion of fish are found to be using lower canopy, as you can see in this video. This is the alligator fish, which is very well camouflaged with the seagrass canopy. So coming to the discussion, from all these results, what we have seen till now, these are seagrasses need very important prioritization in conservation strategies, specifically when it comes to fisheries, because all the fishery policies right now are focused on coral reef fisheries or open sea fisheries, and seagrasses are kind of ignored, which is a sad state here. And in Marine National Park specifically, the policies are made according to the important habitats and coral reefs where seagrasses deserve that attention for conservation priority. In way forward, we are currently trying out new technologies to understand diversity of fish in the seagrass meadows. We are putting GoPros for 40-minute point counts in the meadows, and we are annotating the fishes where the software can automatically understand the individual fish, and we are trying to train the software right now for identifying species as well. So we look forward to the results, and I acknowledge all these people. Thank you.
Thank you, Chinmaya. I request all the audience to send their questions as quickly as possible so that we can sort those questions, and followed by this talk, we'll be having the question session. And now I call upon the final speaker for this session, Swapnali Kode. She will be presenting her talk on lesser known fauna, seagrass associated macrobenthos in the tropical insular system.
Swapnali did her master's in oceanography and fisheries from the University of Mumbai, Mumbai University. She is studying the socio-ecological dynamics of dugong, seagrasses, and associated communities in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands since last 7 years. Over to Swapnali.
Thank you, Dr. Vineet, and good evening, everybody. As Chinmaya mentioned, I'm not going to get into the details of introducing seagrasses to everyone because my colleagues have dominantly done that throughout this session. I'll straight away talk about what is macrobenthos and why it was important to be studied from the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. So whenever we talk about seagrasses, it is a known fact that they support abundant biodiversity, globally known throughout their distribution range. But the most important ecological question here is how much of seagrass associated biodiversity actually exists in terms of richness and numbers. In the Indian context, especially, the quantification of diversity and understanding the ecological patterns largely has been focused on threatened mega species or commercially important species with very little ecological information available in seagrass associated macrobenthos. So macrobenthos are macroinvertebrates which are 1 mm or larger in size, and depending on the habitat they occupy, they are further divided as either epifauna, that is the animals which live on the seabed, or infauna, that is the animals which live inside the sediments, which are primarily burrowers. So the understanding of seagrass associated macrofauna is further critically lacking from the geologically vulnerable Andaman and Nicobar Islands, which are not only the second seagrass hotspot in India, but they also support more than 60% of the total fauna species associated with seagrasses in the entire India. So our primary objective was to create a detailed quantified baseline on seagrass associated macrobenthos, along with understanding which are the critical factors which influence this community structure in seagrasses. Because the previous studies were largely taxonomic in nature, and we actually did not have any numbers on how many macroinvertebrates are living inside the seagrass meadows. Here we primarily check the role of seagrass meadow attributes and the influence of seagrass associated fauna, under which we check for the influence of seagrass presence, habitat heterogeneity, species composition, and species richness on the community structure. Assuming that each seagrass species will offer different spatial structures and in turn different microhabitat niches macrofauna, we classify the meadows as monospecies meadows and mixed species meadows, and even more further as complexes 1, 2, and 3. Species complex 1 comprised of small seagrasses with a much simpler structure. Species complex 2 had large seagrasses, and 3 was a combination of both. We divided our entire study area, which is 1962 kilometers, more than 830 islands, into 5 clusters. The primary assumption here was that each geographically closer sites will share the same local environment for the seagrasses and macrobenthos. And the 5 clusters for North and Middle Andaman, which is Archipelago, South Andaman, Little Andaman, and the Nicobar profiles. Further, our exploration for seagrasses went from 0 meters to 37 meters, of which we found seagrasses up to 21 meters. So this depth area became a primary area of interest for macrobenthos. For intertidal meadows, we did on-foot exploration during low spring tides. For subtidal, because these are the areas which do not get exposed even in the lowest of low tide, we exclusively relied on scuba. According to the categories of investigation further, we use different sampling strategies for epifaunal organisms, especially where these are the animals which are visible to naked eye. So we collected the data on field and no samples were collected. But for infauna, which are hidden inside the sediments and which are primarily burrowers in nature, we had to collect the sediments and then study them microscopically later on. So from a corridor of 20 by 20 centimeter, we had scooped 10 centimeter of the upper sediment soil and then further studied infauna. A general methodology which was followed was line-intensive transits, where a 50-meter transect line was deployed perpendicular to the shore, because water depth also was a critical predictive variable which we were considering. And after every 5 meters from this transect line, 0.5 by 0.5 meter quadrat was placed, and we documented seagrass growth, epifauna, and habitat profile from this quadrats. For infauna, on the other hand, as I mentioned, we collected sediment samples. A combination of non-parametric and multivariate regression analysis was used to understand how our response and predictor variables interact with each other. Well, across 30 islets in the archipelago, we studied 66 seagrass meadows and report 10 infaunal and 13 epifaunal groups, from which in the center in the green box are the shared groups between both the categories, and the yellow ones were exclusive to each category. And we also found 4 dominant guilds for infauna and 5 for epifauna, which contributed to more than 90% of the total densities, along with observing highest densities for epifauna in North and Middle Andaman, whereas for infauna it was Fiji archipelago. So our primary question was to check if seagrass presence influences macrofauna, the answer to which is yes, because we found significantly higher densities of macrofauna in seagrass vegetation as compared to bare regions. Along with that, the basic infaunal trend which we observed was infauna preferred monospecies, homogeneous, and structurally less complicated seagrass meadows. On the other hand, epifauna exhibited the opposite trend, where they preferred mixed species, heterogeneous, and structurally more complicated seagrass meadows, that is species complexes 2 and 3. Along with that, we observed that the macrofaunal density is declined with water depth and hydrogen content in the sediment profile. So to be able to understand on why we observe these patterns, we need to go back to the natural history and habitat references of the investigated groups. In fauna which are primarily burrowers in nature, the first thing we need from a seagrass meadow is space for burrowing, which is highly compromised if the meadow is highly developed, because more the developed meadow, mixed species meadow, structurally complicated meadows will have stronger underground root and rhizome network, which critically hinders the burrowing activities of infauna. In addition to that, if the habitats heterogeneous, which means hard substrate is present in the sediments, the burrowing activities are even more compromised. On the other hand, if we talk about epifauna, they primarily use seagrass meadows for food resources in refugia, because they are out there vulnerable on the seagrass bed, and they use the seagrass beds primarily for protection. So their densities were high in mixed meadows and highly developed meadows, which offered them more spaces for refugia. In addition to that, we also observed that water depth was a critical determinant in our study when the macrofaunal densities declined with increasing water depth. The same observations we had for our seagrass research also, where the critical depth limit for seagrasses in Andaman and Nicobar is up to 5 meters, beyond which the growth declined. So collectively, both the studies indicate that conducive growth environment declines from intertidal to deeper regimes in the islets. We also imply that the biological traits of the observed groups plays an important role in the observed trends because sea cucumbers that one group which showed high affinity to all the attributes of sea grasses. And these are the 5 species of sea cucumbers which we observed, where all of which, except the first one, all 4 are sympathetic in nature. So they need refugia and strong spaces to hide, which is also reflected in the reference images. So their densities were much higher in heterogeneous habitats as compared to homogeneous habitats. In summary, we suggest that macrofaunal density is a very strong function of seagrass meadow attributes, followed by water depth and sediment stability. We also suggest that the scale of comparison is very crucial here, because at this point, a study was conducted at a much larger spatial scale of thousands of kilometers. But we are confident that if we investigate the same groups and same predictor variables at a much smaller scale, the interaction between both would be different. With that, I would like to acknowledge all these people. A very big thank you, especially to my Andaman team, because a lot of efforts have gone into this area, and it would not have been possible without them. Thank you.
Thank you, Swapnali, for the wonderful talk. Now I request all the speakers of the session to come to the stage for the question and answer session. And we are already running short of time, so I'm going to restrict the number of questions to each of the presenters to maximum 2. And if there are more questions, the audience are requested to interact with the speakers personally. So first, the first speaker, Shravani. So the first speaker, Shravani, the question is from Ankit. Do you find correlation between the nutrient and soil texture to the seagrass distribution on field? And the second question is, what do you mean by above plant seagrass mentioned in the conclusion?
So, first question, I mean,
do you find correlation between the nutrient and soil texture to the seagrass distribution on field?
On this was the only 2 months of study that I have presented. So on field, I'm not sure what you're asking, but for the second question is that the below ground are the roots, rhizomes and stem that we consider, and the leaves are the above ground. So here why I mentioned is that previous studies they have mentioned that like at a particular nutrient level the shoot density might show a decrease, but it's like leaves number of leaves are quite high. So with that I referred that we should study on that.
There are no more questions to Shravani. So now I call upon Prachi. So again, there is a question from Praveen. Very informative presentation. Gulf of Kutch is known to have high range of tides. Do you think that the time of sample collection with respect to the tide height has any relation with the macrobenthic density?
yes, so for my current study, I undertook the study in the intertidal areas when the tide was completely receding. So obviously in subtidal areas when we
go through the study, I undertake will be collecting the blood samples, and that will also vary. So, as the depth increases, the density will decrease.
Okay. So the next question is from Gaurav Sirola. Again, it's congratulating, interesting study. In any aquatic ecosystem, abiotic factors play a vital role in the growth of any organism. Why abiotic factors like physiochemical parameters of soil and water were not considered in this study?
Yes, so abiotic factors will play an important role in the assemblage, and we have collected the data, but we'll be analyzing the data in this few time.
Okay. Thank you, Prachi. That's all for you. And the third speaker, Srilekha. In fact, Srilekha has a lot of questions. So maybe I'm going to request most of the people who ask the question to get with her after the session. The first question is from Chinmay Sawant. Have you come across any strandings of Arabian Sea humpback whale in the study area? The second question is there any threats from commercial fishing vessels to the species? What are the threats? Overall presentation is nice.
Thank you for the question. So far, we are the primary stage of our survey. That means phase 1. We are planning for phase 2 and phase 3. So now we have, we are doing fishing port survey. That means we didn't come up with any standing on any direct contact with the species. So in future, when we start to do our another hydrophone deployment and for road survey, we hope there must be any chance that we'll be able to see this species. And for second question, as we know that, as I showed in this video, dolphins are facing threat as like that only, or fisheries, especially when we were in Sasu Dock, and my colleagues also know, we were facing severe difficulty to survey those areas, especially they have huge amount of illegal and catch things. So when you consider those things, you are, it's sure that this must be causing trouble, especially when they use troll. When they drag this troll net, this is also causing trouble for this and that way as well as like other dolphins. So that's it.
Thank you. The second question is from Akshay. Nice presentation. As per the presentation, Arabian Sea humpback whales does not migrate, and the species are dominantly found in upwelling areas. Where it go when large scale downwelling occurs due to thermohaline sublimation?
See, this is actually recent paper actually saying there must be migratory pattern, but here we are concerned because when you consider humpback whales, they are staying in the temperate and they are going to the temperate region for food, and for breeding time they are coming back to the tropical region. But when you consider humpback whale, as I showed you, the time it should travel to the temperate or tropical region, the reporting we got from Indian coast. So here what we are telling, I don't know what is the downwelling time, but as we see, it's might be traveling from Oman, going to Pakistan, and recent, I think after December 31st, this humpback will reach, Arabian Sea humpback will reach Sri Lanka also. And according to Soham Dugong researcher, he last sighted from Tamil Nadu. So we have to know the pattern. That's why we are aiming this survey, because for us this species knowledge is really less. We have to study much, and compared to other countries like Oman, we can't do tagging and so our survey we have to start from the base. So that's why we start the first phase. I think we will be moving on to that. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question question is from Dr. Salvador. Uh, what is the chance of misreporting from your interview-based data from Fisher Folks or Boatman? The second question is, any plans for population surveys such as mark recapture or other methods?
Thank you for the question. As we said that we narrowed down the locations based on the previous sighting and standings, then based on data and Simify data. So of that also we narrowed because people might be able to know about the species. People might be able to understand what is a species. So still there were fishermen were not ready to respond. Fishermen were, because while they do fishing, if you're asking this kind of questions, they used to really get angry. They used to scold us. So this kind of scenarios were also happened. My colleagues know from Kashmir, we really got very bad experience we got. But we can't force someone to answer all the time, right? So when we ask them, when their time is okay, they used to explain us. And here our main aim to know how to how to choose a location to deploy our hydrophone. So more than a social economic survey, we find out since we have very vast post now in front of us. So though we have to study, when Johnson sir said us, you can randomly start one location. So we have to start by narrowing each location based on the people who has some experience. So as you said, there might be chances we might lose this information, but we try to get as. Thank you.
Just to add what she was explaining, so the second question especially, so we do not have right now any plan to know estimate population, all those things. So as per IDWH, the program, it's very short time program, everybody know. So next 6 months we have to submit, we want to give a status, whether the animals are using this area, whether they are there. And after that, government will take a call, if they suggested to go for market capture or tagging, whatever things will get. That's the first thing. Like, you have a few more questions, but we can
Okay, so thank you.
the next question is for Sagar. This ecotoxicological assessment of ABI antibiotic was part of environmental risk assessment. If not, how would you like to address the issue?
Really understand the question.
This ecotoxicological assessment of antibiotics was part of environmental risk assessment.
Okay, so antibiotic in terms of coming into the pharmaceutical compounds. Is it? The ecotoxicological study of antibiotics, like if antibiotics is really there, then it should be coming to the pharmaceutical compound, I think so. So whatever we are detecting the pollution, it comes into the organic pollutants.
So the next question is from Praveen. The rivers are in the most same state post monsoon, as the pollutants usually get drained down quickly with the rainwater. Don't you think that the sample collection before the monsoon will give better picture of the pollutants?
Thank you for this question. The ecological sampling are based the model are designed for the both post monsoon and pre monsoon study. Post monsoon, see we can't correlate data in a single state. Like for only one season, we can't state any kind of results. So in future we are going to conduct the pre monsoon studies also. The survey has been started in last year November 2022 for the sampling. So when we collected the post monsoon data first, so we waited to completely stop for the rain first, and yes, we agreed that post monsoon that all the pollutant will wash away, but it is not completely true. If you can say the pollutants are not stopping during monsoon and after monsoon. It is like industry is not going to stop that post monsoon or before monsoon. So it is going to be continued. So once monsoon has stopped, the pollution level started increasing, and after the after this post-monsoon collection, again we are going to collect for the pre-monsoon also. That will give you the actual baseline data, and we can easily, we can surely compare the both seasons for the futures.
Thank you, Sagar. So now I want Chinmaya. There's a question from Navindu. How far is the closest mangrove habitat from your study area? And why did you not find any mangrove associated species plus seagrass?
So mangrove area in Gulf of Mannar is restricted to very few islands. One of which only was my study site, and the points from that study site were approximately a kilometer away far. The mangroves in the mainland and the islands, the distance between them is a lot. It's around 10 kilometers. So it will be also the habitat is quite disconnected. There is seagrass on the coastal main coast of the mainland coast of India, and in the island also there is seagrass, but in between the habitat is barren. We have tried to sample those habitat also, and it looks completely the barren sand, and there is no whatsoever flora on those habitats. So maybe that disconnect is the reason for not finding mangrove fishes.
The next question is from Sudhita. Did you compare the size class distribution of fishes between reef and seagrass habitats to test if the proportion of juvenile fishes is more in seagrasses as expected in the nursery hypothesis?
Answer is yes. I compared reef. So Gulf of Mannar is dominated by coral reefs, and seagrasses and sandy areas are very less. So I had around 80 points in coral reefs, and other 200 points were in seagrass meadows. I understand the sample size is not equal, but still the coral reef fishes, whatever we found, are more in the size class than the seagrasses, and the seagrasses had more dominant size class of less than 5 centimeters.
And the next question is from Dr. Sandro. Nice presentation with wonderful insights into seagrasses. Um, how many such seagrasses have we prioritized for their long-term conservation, given the importance of nursing many fish?
Sadly, in Indian context, seagrasses are not prioritized for conservation. With the newest Dugong Conservation Reserve, which is in North Parkway, very far from the study I presented, around 150 kilometers northwards from Gulf of Mannar. It has a lot of seagrasses, and our primary focus to give a proposal for Dugong Conservation Reserve was also to conserve the habitat. So that part of the coast is being given the priority which it deserves right now. But in Gulf of Mannar, because it's mosaic, it is very difficult to prioritize. And when the national park was came into existence, the seagrasses were the research on seagrasses was so less in India that till now, whatever literature is available in India related to seagrass fisheries and the management, it comes as just a line that seagrasses are also present in this area. So this is the current status of conservation priority, and that is what the Campa Dugong team is trying to put our focus on.
Okay, Chinmaya, the last presenter, Swapnali. Swapnali, there's one question from my side. Especially when we look at the heavy vehicles, there is a lot of sea cucumber harvest in the central Nicobars. How do you think that impacts your results? Because you're looking at the diversity and densities of heavy vehicles, and seagrasses are largely harvested for consumption in central Nicobars. How it impacts your results?
Yeah, that's a very valid point. So, in my knowledge, only Nicobar is that area where sea cucumbers have been harvested for consumption, subsistence mostly, not commercial use. And here we more than dividing it across cluster, right? This was primarily trying to understand how macrobenthos is associated with seagrasses in terms of numbers. What you said definitely will impact, but until we don't do a survey with people understanding what is the harvest rate of cucumbers, and I would not be able to confidently answer this question at this point because I don't know the rate at which cucumbers are consumed by Nicobaris. But then with that logic, Andaman Nicobar is open for poaching also, where primarily poachers are coming for cucumbers. So there are multiple elements to how cucumber densities will go down in the islands because there are very recent reports on cucumber poaching from the islands. So, I mean, if we have to consider that element, that has to be a different study. And right now that is beyond the scope of the study.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all the presenters. With that, sir, want to add something? Yeah, I normally wait all the questions are over. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful to see the marine team. I think it's like all marine mermaids. There is only one riverine below. Okay. Sarkani, it's nice to hear your presentation on the North Parkway, which is already a Dugong Conservation Reserve. There is a plan to take the Southern Parkway as a possible OECM site, which is now being worked on by the WWF India. What I wanted to ask you is, in addition to the natural nutrient load, what is the record of land-based pollutant nutrient in the North Parkway and in the seagrass meadows? And if this has been recorded, how and what would be your recommendations?
Yeah, so as Chandani already mentioned that the research is very low, like no research or no details such are there on specifically on sequences. So with little bit of field observation because it was only for 2 months for me. So
Okay, so yeah, I think why I say that, as you probably the institute has prepared the management plan for the Gulf of Mannar National Park and Forest Reserve. And when we did that, myself and Dr. Shikumar, when we did that, we actually asked the State Pollution Control Board about the pollutant load. And the State Pollution Control Board said there is no pollution. And we actually said to them that it's 53 publications which actually documents every kind of pollutants in the Gulf of Mannar Islands, including the fly ash which comes from the Tuticorin power plant. Okay, so these are all land-based, So I particularly wanted to raise this issue because there is a disconnect between research work, years of research work, which points out, the kind of pollutants which are summarily rejected for whatever reasons by the State Pollution Control Board and also the Central Pollution Control Board. So I think there is a disconnect, but we should not shun away from pointing out from our studies what are the pollutants and what might actually happen if this is not recorded at this point in time. So one of my reasons of asking you that, if it is basic study, please add in your future the kind of land-based pollutants which can also be monitored. That is my suggestion.
So I totally agree on this, and so I just wanted to like my PhD topic is totally based on this concept. So I'm going to study the pollutant gap because in India, like no such study has been particularly dedicated for seagrasses and its associated fauna. So I will be studying on this, and we are going to start for pollutant analysis, and also we will be now focusing on Southern Parkway and Gulf of Mannar on my the part I presented, and we'll do replicate studies and understand more.
The other thing which is happening on the India's coastline is the sand dune habitats are practically being planted. The sand dune habitats were actually a barrier between the sea water coming onto the land and the fresh water getting into the sea.
there was a particular kind of agriculture which is being practiced, which was being practiced in the Gulf of Mannar region, which was a particular kind of rice which was being grown. And it doesn't happen any longer. It doesn't happen any longer. The practice of raising paddy, a particular variety of paddy, has now given away to raising of flowers. You know, what is the flower which is most women use there on their head? Jasmine. And now Gulf of Mannar region is probably the largest exporter of jasmine into the entire part of the country. In fact, when the flights which used to come to Madurai, the full plane load of flowers are going to Mumbai. Okay, so that's the reason why the flights actually started to Madurai. So I think, it's interesting to see what has traditionally been used, practiced, based on the fresh water that used to accumulate behind the sand dunes. But now the dunes are gone. Ramanathapuram, the only area where the dunes are remaining, is probably near Kusadai Island and other areas. So I think that's something which you probably need to look at, and that will actually enhance the land-based pollutants coming into the sea much more. So that's something which I wanted to suggest you. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Prachi. Okay. Were the species diversity of seagrasses different in your 4 different study areas? They were not really very far apart, but in the Gulf of Kutch, the species diversity may not be that diverse in the islands, because the islands were not really too far away. You have chosen the sites very close to each other. And if at all they are, do they show the differences on the Macrobanthus diversity? Maybe you need to examine that a little more clearly. Also, the Gulf of Kutch being an industrial hotspot, so think of any industry in Gujarat, they are there. What kind of marine pollutants recorded and their possible impacts? Again, I think, in the next 10 years, the Gulf of Kutch, I don't really know if at all the Prime Minister's famous project now, Misty, is being launched in Gujarat. 60% of the allocation has already gone to Gujarat. And the Gujarat Forest Department says, we simply do not know where to plant mangroves any longer. Okay. But the fact that, at least 5 industrial agencies have come forward, we don't need Government of India money. We will give the money to raise the plantation, mangrove plantation. That's one part of the story. But the other part of the story is a whole lot of industries are probably releasing pollutants. We do a project in coral restoration in the Mithapur Reef, and we do some work on whale shark and so on. And there are dead zones, complete dead zones in the Gulf of Kutch. So keeping that in mind, it would be useful to do your scale of the study a little more wider and look into the possible pollutant areas and how they are impacting some of the Macrobanthus, and some of them are probably just endemic to that area. So that would be one of my suggestions to you.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you. Sri Lekha. Okay. Arabian Sea humpback whales. A lot of studies in the marine scenario is now TEK survey, traditional ecological knowledge of marine fisheries. In fact, a few years ago, we did a study supported by the IUCN. 1,750 fishermen were surveyed, assessed on a TEK survey, based on which we actually found out the 5 aggregation points of the whale shark. In fact, your study, based on many of your interviews, you have identified about 5 hotspots for the at least recorded hotspots as per the statements. What would be your next step to move into direct sighting or reconfirming what the fisherman has told? Someone else has already asked that question to you. And compared to that, also correlate that with the stranding and bycatch records. Okay. To be dependent on the CMFRI's field station database,
it would be slightly erroneous. So you would probably be looking into standings, looking into bycatch records, and looking into, based on the DK responses, maybe trying to make an effort of spending at least a few hundred hours into the sea and trying to find out the debates. That would be possibly an important thing to do. That's my suggestion to you. Thank you.
Okay, sir, thank you.
Sagar? Okay. It's nice to hear your Virendra. No, I don't know if you have read the interesting book. There's a book on the 7 major Indian rivers. It's one of the finest book, and I have a close association with rivers because my works were on crocodiles. So I have practically moved down every single river of the country from the origin to the sea. And it was interesting to see your work on 5 rivers. And my most recent foray was into the Barak River, going for one work given to me by the Wildlife Institute of India, MEE, but I set aside the MEE work and 2 days I was in the Barak River. So you never get a chance to get into such remote rivers. But I was also quite surprised to see the level of pollutants you are talking in Barak River. There is hardly any industry, I think, not in Manipur. I don't think there is anything in
No,
Manipur.
there is no industry in Manipur. I personally visited Barak River for the ecotoxicological assessment. And in a lower zone of the river, at the Masughat area, and you can say that the Silchar part of the area, if you go to the, if you go see the complete river basin, there are a lot of industries which is already, it is not a big scale industry. I think so there is only one big scale industry near Masughat or up before the Bangladesh border. That is one is the cement and rock cutting industries over there and tile industry.
So the most of the pollutants into Barak is coming from the non-point source.
Yeah.
Point.
Yes.
Okay. That mercury level was quite high. That is what worry. The other thing is, in Godavari, my association with Godavari dates back to 1975-76, and totally down the Godavari those days and multiple times after that. The amount of water that used to flow in the Godavari is no longer happening. The abstraction is almost coming closer to what is abstracted from the Ganges.
Yes.
Okay, and probably it will be hardly any water getting into the Godavari after the creation of the most recent barrage close to Dharmandri. The southern Godavari will probably have no water, and most of the mangrove areas will be completely devoid of fresh water inflow. But in that scenario, I'm seeing Godavari, there are certain places you have mapped out the industry, presence of industry in different parts. Is the Godavari more polluted in Maharashtra part of it, or is it more polluted in the Andhra part of it?
Sir, again, I personally visited these all 5 rivers. So my primary observation for Godavari is like, as you stated in 1975 and 76, the Godavari is different, and now Godavari is different. I also want to add one thing into that. So the earlier the tank for the Godavari is a perennial river. Now Godavari, its tank has changed and it is come onto the rainfed river. If you check the stretch of the Godavari from the Brahmagiri Parvat, which is from the Tambakeshwar till the Nanded, the complete stretch is covering into the industrial belt, Nashik industrial MIDC zone, Kopargaon MIDC zone, Nanded MIDC zone, Paitan MIDC zone, different kind of industrial belt. The actual major reason for the Godavari pollution is the barrages. They have actually cut the natural flow of the river. So because of the cutting down of the natural flow of the river, the water is stagnant, stinky. I personally visit one of the places which is called Odgaon, which is downstream of the Nashik river. It is clearly visible. The water is black in color. The effervescence and you can say that the foam of the industrial zone are coming out of that, and people are fishing into it.
You think that the sharing of the river water is a conflict all the time
Yes.
between the states. I think the same thing, if you talk about pollution in Andhra Pradesh, they will say, ki Andhra is more polluted, not in Maharashtra. And Maharashtra will say, Andhra will say, ki not polluted in our area. So I think it will be interesting for you to share these findings of yours with the state pollution control boards of both the states, so that, they and ask for their response. It would be important for your independent third party.
Yes.
State
I want to add one more point.
Yeah.
So after Nanded, if you can see that there are a lot of tributaries of Godavari are meeting to the Godavari. So that helps to Godavari start running again,
Right.
and it increase the water level.
Yeah.
In Nanded, there is no water level, no flow. If you can go to the flow meter in the Godavari river, you can see the almost the zero flow of the river. So I can firmly say that Maharashtra is more polluted than any other.
That's something that I wanted to suggest you. Chinmaya, how important are the seagrass meadows, obligate fish species? Are they still being used as a bait for tuna fisheries? That's something which is being practiced in the Lakshadweep group of islands. And Lakshadweep is changing its practices altogether. So no longer big fish is being, they are now going to catch fish, by throwing nets, which is sad, but that's going to happen with the NITI Aayog's program of changing and increasing the catch of, fish from Lakshadweep. So it is important at this point of time to talk about the species diversity of the seagrass meadow related obligate species diversity of reef fish. And what is the status of the ornamental marine fish in the seagrass meadows? Because that is also going to be expanding in a big way. The ornamental marine fish related trade is going leaps and bounds. So I think these two will have a long-term impact on your work.
Definitely, sir. To answer the first question, the seagrass fishes, obligatory fishes, it is very difficult to define in Gulf of Mannar because of the mosaic habitat. We are trying, but we can give more concrete results from Parkway because Parkway has a continuous seagrass habitat. It is where the OECM you are talking about, South Parkway and Gulf of Mannar, both have very different kinds of habitat, and the fishes keep moving from one habitat to another. So defining obligatory association is something we are facing a challenge of right now. Second thing about using seagrass fishes as baits, yes, they are used as baits not only for tuna fisheries but for many other things like squid fishing. So they are widely used. They are also used as poultry feed for most of the bycatch or small scale fishes which come from seagrass meadows. They are also used as poultry feed. So that is something they are currently encashing upon. But the size class is something to really worry about because in the normal markets also these small size fishes are getting sold for humongous prices. So that clearly indicates the fish stock is depleting.
And the other worrying thing is the culture of seaweeds. Alien species of seaweed culture is happening. We started in Tamil Nadu, and it's probably going leaps and bounds now, supported by multinationals. So that's another worrying thing in the Gulf of particularly the Parkway. So I think, if the study can look into these aspects, it would be good.
Definitely we'll try.
I don't really have much to talk about Swapnil, but wonderful infauna, epifauna, this mixed complex in the epifauna and more individual species on the infauna in the use of seagrass meadows for multiple. Is there a survival strategy or survival opportunity for the species in the Andaman Nicobar, the epifaunal and infaunal?
Survival in sense of.
And is it an attribute of the seagrass meadow altogether for that survival and long-term opportunity for survival?
Yes, for our study, because we had considered 40 variables to check on what exactly is influencing the macrofauna densities, of which the primary, what we found was primary seagrass meadow attributes, then water depth, and then sediment stability. And then again, depending on the category of investigation, it was exactly the opposite for infauna and epifauna. So I do I mean, this is the first validation from the islands to show that seagrasses are important for macrobenthos. This it was mostly taxonomic and numbers were never given. So, if the catastrophic events like tsunami happen, because Andaman Nicobar is geologically vulnerable and always on the fault lines.
And your continent itself is much narrow.
Exactly, very narrow. So water depth, even in 50 meters of transect, we have seen the depth changing like in 5 meters to 10 meters gradient. So in that context, this study is important because ours is the first study in the islands to give numbers of macroinvertebrates in seagrasses, not just what is the richness.
But congratulations to the marine team. I think it's wonderful to see all of you. Try to-
It is really heartening to see a lot of interesting work coming out from the marine systems as well as aquatic systems, especially looking at lesser known species, benthic organisms, and sediment nutrient dynamics. I really congratulate all the speakers for their wonderful work. And now I request the chair to give his comments about the session.
Thank you, Dr. Nehru. So, whatever the comments, no, already Dr. PC Southis, he has given. I request all the presenters to take the note on that, and you can improve your thing. So overall, no, I enjoyed the entire session. Literally, it took me to know the underwater, moving through the sediment and seagrasses. It was really wonderful session. So only one suggestion for the marine team. There is a disconnect I would see actually, because at the end of the day, you are doing a lot of scientific work, but at the management purpose, you should showcase if the particular benthos are the nutrient depletion is there, and what kind of intervention they have to do. There are many indicator species that will indicate the pollution, that will indicate the good quality of the seagrass meadow. So that kind of indicator species we have to pick up, and that can be, we can suggest, we can give it to the management for management or restoration of the seagrass meadow in that area. That is the only one suggestion from my side. So I congratulate everybody. With this, I conclude my the session. I'll hand over to Dr. Vishnupriya. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you, sir. And I thank the chair and co-chair for this conducting this session, and also Dr. Vineet for facilitating. We come to the concluding session for our internal annual research seminar. So I request the chairs of the seminar to kindly take the place on the dais. Our director Virendra Tiwari sir and Bitaki ma'am and Vivash sir as well. If you can kindly come on the dais.
उजाला करो ना अंधेरा बहुत सारे बटन दबाते हैं नहीं नहीं काला
सर नहीं
नहीं यार
ना काला है पीछे का पहले स्क्रीन नहीं जल रही थी ना स्क्रीन
It's been a long 3 days, and our seminar chairs have really given intensive comments in each of the sessions. We'd like to request our director WI to kindly present a memento. First to B.C. Chaudhary sir. Sir, if you can kindly, as a token of our gratitude for chairing the internal annual research seminar. And now for Unyal sir. So thank you for chairing the sessions and giving your comments. Sir, I know both of you have given comments at the end of each session. If we can have very briefly a few words on the overall seminar. So they're giving the mic.
I had done already my quota of comments. As a matter of fact, more than what I could have done. This I will only take as an opportunity to be part of this wonderful program and thank Shri Tiwari, Vitabi Madam, Satya Kumar Sahab, Vibhash, and all the colleagues who still feel that I can come and contribute here. So thank you so very much for your kind invitations. I just want to say one thing. VC Dada and I, we were, reminiscing old days when the WI was coming, and we feel privileged to say that we are the part of the very, very early generation people. And over the years, we've seen this whole WI has expanded. And this wonderful resource that all of you are, had actually a far too tough time before you than actually we had. But the technology, the knowledge, and the kind of belief system that you are all developing, I'm very hopeful, very, very hopeful. And I think there has been the generational, what we call transfer of commitment, apart from knowledge. Commitment for the cause of conservation. And we hear about, that earlier generation, Omar Saab, Alan Rogers, John Singh Saab, and all those people who kind of started this process of what we call generating knowledge. And then we see another generation comes through, and then another. And now I understand that even Vitabi is going to retire very soon. But we also see the influx. There is a new blood. Lots of young officers, young faculty members, young researchers are joining in. And I think this is the time for that mentoring to continue. And I'm very sure under your guidance and with this kind of environment, it's going to grow further. And I think we are going to have good days, tough days, but good days. There should be more voices for conservation, because conservation is basically a political kind of argument. So Vikas wins because there are more voices for development. Let's build voices for conservation. Thank you so very much, everyone, for having invited me and listened. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. VC sir, if you can say a few words.
I think, people must have been tired of listening to me. I have been talking too much. But let me also say something. It's a privilege to be back into the Institute at any point of time. I have never felt that I'm not the part of an institute. I've always been the part of this institute. And as someone had said, we have inherited the privilege of this nature from our forefathers. I mean, our forefathers in the institute parlance. But we probably had borrowed it from the new generation. So we are now giving it back to you. And it is this generation who are going to give us back the optimism on which we live for seeing the conservation actually taking shape, not for just species conservation, habitat conservation, but for the human well-being and also for the future survival of the next generation that's going to come back. But it's also so heartening to see the kind of work that you people have presented. I remember the 1986 when it was started, our students were actually presenting on acetate seeds on a epidioxo. And today, sitting behind us, one of the screens which probably world class, and not just the world class facilities, I would say the presentation were also the world class. And that's a very, very happy feeling. But it may have been possible because of the mentors, because of the faculty who are guiding you, who are nurturing you, who are actually giving the academic support that you require. But much more than that, the support that is being given by the director and his team and the MOEF and climate change in terms of money and other sources of fund. I think, at some point of time, we think there is no money for conservation. Hopefully, that is not happening. There will be money coming in, and with your sincerity and with your kind of work, I only see a positive trend for conservation. And with that hope, I would stop my talking. I have talked too much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I now invite Dr. Vivash Pandey to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to give vote of thanks to end this ceremony. I would like to thank, first of all, the research scholars who have presented. I was counting, we had 59 presentations. Barring one presentation, all 58 speakers did a fabulous job. Two things, the thing that I like most about this internal annual research seminar has been everyone, each of you have stuck to the time. 10 minutes, some of you have finished it, so you have compensated if someone has overstepped a minute or so. So that's a wonderful thing that I see. I mean, concising your findings into 10 minutes is no mean job, and my sincere thanks to all of you for sticking to the time. And I wish some of you could have been more attentive in responding to the questions. My request to you, please be very specific. I mean, I'll just give one example. जंगल में लैंटना कहाँ है सर साल के नीचे मैलोटस है. So we should be very specific in our answer and be very pointed. But nevertheless, thoroughly enjoyed listening to all of you, and a big thank to all the research scholars for doing a fabulous job. I understand that internal research seminar is presentations are meant to be for a very brief research period, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months. And within that, you people have done a fabulous job. Congratulations to all of you for making this event a huge success. I thank the two seminar chairs, VC sir and Unial sir, for being with us for 3 days. Not only being with us, VC sir especially very actively. I was losing focus who was talking what, but sir was very attentive, listening to everybody. And when he was calling everyone and talking to everyone, that I was very amused how focused he is. And at this age also, sir, you are not very old, but much older than me, sir. Being staying so focused and listening. So thank you, sir, and Unial sir, of course. You may think he's a man of few words, but if you listen to him in the class or in the field, he's a man of many words. So thank you very much for chairing this seminar and listening to us and guiding us. I thank our director, Mr. Virendra Tiwari. The one thing I have worked there in this institute for, say, last 24 years. I've seen many directors. All of them are good, were good. But with sir, what I noticed in the meetings, whatever he says, he follows it up. Other directors were normally giving us instructions and were believing on us, कि काम हो जाएगा. But sir was constantly following us, following up with all of us, and making sure that things are in the line or not. One thing sir was very particular. First day we had a full house. I think all of us are tired at the end of third day. That's why I see a lot of vacant seats. But I think we'll keep up the tempo in ARS, and all the seats will be occupied in ARS. So thank you very much for all your guidance all through, and making us work as a team. I thank Dr. Bita Pisina, our research coordinator, who has been very quietly working. I mean, there are 4 or 5 teams made, and Madam has been very patient in bearing with us, which all of us are mostly non-cooperative. We are not reporting to her, we are not delivering things, but she never lost patience, or she never lost her faith on us. Thank you, Madam. And I understand, Madam, this will be, I mean, I hope it's not, but this may be your last internal annual research seminar. And we are so grateful to you for so many years. You have been conducting these events very successfully. Thank you so much for all your efforts. My colleague Vishnu has been very painstakingly dealing with all these nitty-gritties of conducting this seminar. Thank you, Vishnu. It's wonderful working with you. The whole team, my faculty colleagues, have been monitoring or have been providing their inputs in rehearsal sessions. As a result, we could see I could clearly feel the result because all of you stuck to the 10 minutes time frame. Thanks to all the committee members who have provided inputs in making this event such a wonderful success. I thank specifically Sambhu Navani, one of the most dedicated employees of this institute. Sambhuji, thank you very much. Initially, first day I was given the bell to press. I found it very disturbing to press that alarm bell after 8 minutes and then 10 minutes again. So I quietly handed over the bell to Sambhuji, and he has been very dutifully doing this. And wonderful, and all the attendants, Santosh and the entire team has been moving around, collecting the slips, handing it over to all the session chairs, all the session co-chairs. My thanks are to all the session chairs and session co-chairs who have been conducting this entire session successfully. Thanks to Vinod Verma, our audiovisual unit, has been photographing, has been controlling this mic, although we don't have much mics on our tables now, but whatever mic, there was absolutely no glitch in this entire internal annual research seminar. Thank you, Vinodji, for all the help. Mr. Mahesh Tyagi, the district officer of WII, has, we must give him a big hand, because when we walked into the room 3 days back, only one AC was working, some fans, all the fans were working. Now I am feeling very cold. In fact, I was thinking, why didn't I bring a jacket? So both the ACs are working in full force now. I hope it continues. And Mr. Tyagi has been following it up and very painstakingly looking after all the background arrangement. So I thank all the committee members, especially the catering committee members, for we didn't provide much food, but tea and biscuits were very good. And I like the chips. I only had chips. I don't drink tea. So it was good. Thank you very much. And it's a great pleasure to have all of you with us in this. And I look forward to another successful annual research seminar. After a few days, next week we'll have the annual research seminar. I only request, please be here in full attendance. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
She was presenting first time, and I was on the other side of the fence. And today I'm saying the place dying.
We like the internal annual research seminar. Thank you, everyone. Meet you with the annual research seminar next week.
Now what do you do?